Mondo films. What are they? Well, let me tell ya. They're not great. Hello, my name is Ghost. I am your host for the next short while. And today we're talking about something that is rather controversial in the world of, fucked up cinema. And that is the Mondo film. The Mondo film is loosely related to the shockumentary, though it predates the shockumentary. But it's really just a shockumentary with extra steps. Effectively, what it is a movie which presents itself as showing a whole bunch of real footage and tries to be just as in-your-face and confrontational as possible. And the origin of this genre, and the primary topic of today's video, is Mondo Cane, the film which gave the genre its name. Mondo Cane, which I believe translates from Italian to A Dog's World, is a 60s film which is known for just being incredibly racist and showing some things that films just did not want to show at that period of time, such as a woman breastfeeding a pig and people eating ants. Oof, people eating ants. Did not want to see that one. And I'm not just talking like, like your fucking box of crickets. No, I'm talking they were paying, for a luxury lunch, and they were eating ants by the spoonful. Now that's gonna fucking haunt me at night. That's truthfully the worst scene in the film. But Mondo Cane is incredibly controversial and incredibly influential, because it effectively is the reason that Mondo films exist, and shockumentaries exist, because it truthfully is the first of these genres. Shockumentary is really kind of a subsection of Mondo film. Personally, I draw a line between the two, but a lot of people don't, so take that as you will. But that's why I'm talking about Mondo Cane today. It's something that I've never spoken about on my channel because I hadn't watched it until recently, but I certainly do have quite a lot of thoughts. Now, Mondo Cane is the type of thing that comes up a lot in your discourse about extreme cinema, because it's such an iconic, important film. I mean, it is arguably one of the most important films of all time, as weird as it sounds, and yet, your normal film student probably hasn't heard of it. But the truth is that without it, we would not have these incredibly confrontational documentaries of today. Its influence is really hard to overstate, and I do appreciate it for that. But Mondo Cane is also one of the types of movies in which I feel like it's more interesting to hear about than it is to actually consume. Let's talk about Mondo Cane on a little bit of a deeper level. The film was directed by two Italian filmmakers who basically said, hey, let's find some cool footage, and let's record some cool footage, and let's get some fake cool footage, and let's throw it all together and poke fun at all sorts of different groups of people from different countries. It just so happens that they seem to really fucking hate Chinese people, which, yeah, Mao Zedong was the leader at the time and all that, but, dear God, these people do not like Chinese people. It's not a problem with the politics, they're just racist as hell. And no, the racism is not oh, well, everyone gets it equally. No, the Asian groups in particular seem to get the brunt of the, criticism. Meanwhile, with other groups, such as tribes, everything's chalked up to, they're tribal people, they're not like us. And then when they criticize your more Western civilization, they're just look at this person, they want to be a movie star. Look at that idiot. Look at this person eating ants. Why'd they have to eat ants? Unlike most Mondo films that people know of nowadays, like Faces of Death, this does not specialize in violence against people. Really, the bulk of this film is violence against animals. Watch how foie gras is made. Watch pigs get bashed to, death. All that good stuff. It's not particularly pleasant. I mean, you're in for quite the ride when it opens with abusing dogs. That's pretty brutal. But the truth is that Mondo Cane, despite being confrontational and pretty morally reprehensible and bigoted as all fuck, is worth the watch. Now, while I did say that it's more interesting to hear about than it is to watch, I do believe that it's worth giving a little bit of your time. Because the truth is, the movie's not a particularly long experience. It's under 2 hours. It's only an hour and 40 minutes. And the influence it has had on filmmaking as a whole is, again, incredibly important. But what makes Mondo Cane so significant? Well, something interesting to note is that it was actually met with a lot of praise when it was first released, for being something really different, for being something in your face, and for being willing to poke fun at all sorts of cultures. But also, it was met with praise in a world in which you could just lynch a black person in the street in, the biggest countries in the world. So I've got to say that maybe we should take the critics of the 60s with a grain of salt. So let's see what the critics of the modern day have to say, shall we? Ahem, ahem. Top review. Sally Jane Black. Someone I follow on Letterboxd, actually. For a film featuring exploitative, racist, sexist stereotypes distorted into cartoons via juxtaposition, editing, and staging despite claiming to be a documentary. For a film that was a major hit when it was released despite being the basest kind of quasi-snuff film. For a film that even in dub is an open sneer at cultures around the world. For a film that revels in graphic violence and nudity. For a film that is nothing but crudity. This is incredibly fucking boring. To be honest, I don't fully disagree. I definitely felt the length when I was watching it. Well, I did say that it's only an hour and 40 minutes, so, it's worth giving a chance. Like I said, it's also more interesting to hear about than it is to watch, because, dear God, when I was 40 minutes in, it felt like I was sitting on that couch for 3 hours. So I feel that review. Another review is, by Paul. Wow, look at that. Now, this is a pretty long review, so I'm only going to read a small portion, but this is a 3-star review, so clearly they liked it a little bit more than the top review, who gave it like a 1.5. So let's see what this person has to say. This was a review in 2020, and it says, Mondo Cane is frequently challenging to watch, and even though programmatic horror inevitably causes levels of desensitization, its depictions of savagery inflicted on animals in this film are genuinely disturbing. It's a strange documentary hybrid, an amalgamation of mockumentary, pseudo-documentary, and docufiction, which director Paolo Cavara, exhibits with seeming sincerity in attempting to reinvent what a documentary can be. And skipping a little bit later, it regrettably established a subgenre of films, but this original Mondo is indisputably the most interesting and stands at a distance from the others. It spotlights human behaviors and preoccupations from body image issues, ceremonial self-harming, and drunken revelers emerging from a pub, staggering home, stopping to urinate in the street. It's a wonder that we reached the top of the food chain. Mondo Cane is all about human nature and how kind of fucking odd it is, and how the world that we live in really is just plain bizarre. And if you can get through the graphic depictions of violence, particularly towards animals, and the ridiculous racist nature of it, ultimately Mondo Cane is a significant film, which does have something to say about the idiocy of the human race. And I do believe that for that, and for its influence, and for the fact that it established an entire genre of filmmaking, it's worth a little bit of your time. Thanks. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye now.